fire extinguisher factory burns down in Chicago.
Next.
Oh, come on.
Fire extinguisher factory burns down.
Come on, that was good. That's what I read.
That's right. It's time for yet another fabulous Sunday night news and nonsense. Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, how you doing, Toss?
Was that a digital sound effect, or was that something coming out of your rear end?
I haven't. No, I didn't put. I don't have my
just forget about it already.
I know, epic fail on my part there. Deckard, what's up?
Not too much. How are you?
Pretty good. We had a great tournament last night. Had a lot of people turn out for it, and we've got. Looks like we're gonna have 2 matches next Saturday night. For our semifinals, and I don't know if we've decided on. I think we're probably going to still have the third week where the final match and that sort of thing. I don't know if you saw the edited video, but I mean, we filmed almost 2 hours of video footage, and I kind of crapped it down to 20 minutes.
What is the matter?
I don't know. I can't talk. A lot of strange things in the news, though. Microsoft will allow pirates free upgrades to Windows 10. Imagine this. That's right. Windows 10 is slated for a summer 2015 release. Microsoft has announced, better yet, the company is comfortable with letting those with pirated versions of Windows accept the free upgrade to the latest OS. Quote, "We are excited to launch Windows 10 this summer. Anyone with a qualified device can upgrade to Windows 10, including those with pirated copies of Windows," a Microsoft spokesperson told Eurogamer. "We believe customers over time will realize the value of proper licensing Windows and will make it easy for them to move to legitimate copies." Something in the back of my head is telling me lockdown, vendor lock-in, this is just another tool, and the thing is, you can use Windows 7, anything from Windows 7 on up. So this may be a means to the end of actually outmoding all the older OSs. What do you think, Toss?
I'm sure Spatria has had many sleepless nights wondering about the final verdict for this. Rest assured, I'm sure Microsoft will do whatever is necessary to sell their operating system.
You mean to maintain tactical superiority in the desktop space, right?
If you say so.
Okay, and now that we've heard from the audience, what do you think about that, Deckard?
Well, if anyone here really knows me, they'll know that I have a really thick tinfoil hat on when it comes to software. And one of the major concerns that I have is if they are allowing people to install Windows 10 on their pirated copy of Windows 7 or 8, that would mean that they would have to differentiate between what is legal and what is illegal, which means they know those people that have legally purchased the operating system and those that haven't legally purchased the operating system. And I got a little bit of a story here coming up just to expand upon this a little bit more, but they would know if you illegally purchased the operating system, and that could be something that could be leveraged against you. So if you're thinking about upgrading to it, I don't know. I personally wouldn't, especially if I have an illegal version of Windows 7 or 8.
All right, and if your story ties into this, bring it on.
Alrighty, Windows 10 will be introducing Windows Hello, which waves off passwords. So essentially, this is software that a lot of manufacturers...
That reminds me of that video where they combined Windows CE, ME, and NT and came up with Windows Cement. Go on.
So Windows Hello is something that a lot of manufacturers have been including in their products for a long time, especially Lenovo, which comes to mind. And essentially what this software is you can use facial recognition to unlock your machine rather than a password or a PIN or a stupid little drawing. So this is another thing that I'm really, really skeptical of. If a machine is interpreting my face and the machine's owners know that I'm using an illegal copy, don't we all think that that's maybe just a little bit too much information to be feeding to a machine, especially when people like the CIA are running loose on the internet nowadays? I don't know. Windows Hello, cool idea. In actuality, though, I would highly advise that you don't use it.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think about that, Toss?
I guess I'll be using Windows Goodbye.
You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
And there you have it. All right, what you got,
Thanks.
Toss?
Well, let's see. How about we go to some Linux Mint news? There's a new release for Linux Mint, the Debian edition. This is number 2. Betsy, the release candidate is out. If you guys wanted to try something different, not really designed for beginners, but I actually downloaded it, tested it 2-3 days ago in a virtual machine. I'll have a report later on this week. So far, it actually runs rather zippy in a virtual box. So another great release from the team at Linux Mint.
And the thing is, the Debian edition that Linux Mint has, been releasing has been a pretty rock solid OS. I've had the opportunity to try it out, and most people that I've spoken to about it seem to have liked it quite a bit as well. Have you tried it, Deckard?
I haven't tried it, no.
Okay, I was just curious about that. Yeah, it seemed, it's semi-rolling. I don't think it's fully rolling.
Right.
Yeah, it's semi-rolling. I think once what happens is once it moves into the stable branch, then it's kind of locked down. But the thing is, you can enable the testing repositories again, and then just keep getting the testing updates and that sort of thing for it. So it's pretty cool. All right, well, more stuff about Microsoft in the news here. And this one is about Goofy Eufy. All right, and apparently, according to this report, somebody was speculating Linux's worst-case scenario being Windows 10 makes secure boot mandatory and locks out other operating systems. Well, we've heard similar stuff like this before. But apparently, when Windows 10 ships, apparently right now, it's up to the OEMs. They can decide whether or not to lock down the UEFI to prevent you from using any OSs and that sort of thing. And I think in the next release, according to what we're seeing here, is they're going to make this supposedly optional. So it will be up to the OEM to decide whether or not to lock this down. This could be attractive to some manufacturers because they don't want people messing with the hardware. They want to dumb down everything. We see this all the time, especially with lockdown Android devices, blah, 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 blah. And but will this cause much of a stir? I really don't know. What do you think, Tuss?
Yeah, I don't know. I understand the reasoning behind that. UFI or Goofy, as we call it, is to prevent any kind of unauthorized access or malware from going into the boot sequence and ruining the operating system. But like I said before, I think Mac computers have had this for years, so it does have its advantages. But to be fair, I suppose you should give the operator a choice of turning that off knowingly, only if you know that if you do turn it off, it's possible to mess something up or get some malware. But if you're cool with that, which I certainly am, and somebody else is, I'm sure many others, yeah, just for someone who is a beginner, knows nothing about this, maybe it's best they don't touch it. And if they want to try Linux, I believe Spatry, even if that becomes locked, aren't they still able to create a USB bootable disk or stick and still try Linux?
Well, the question is, are they going to even be able to boot it? And the thing is, there's also these trusted these TPM modules, and or as Richard Stallman calls it, treacherous computer. These are trusted computing chips and that sort of thing. And so basically, with UEFI support, it must ship enabled with Windows. It must be UEFI version 2.31 compliant. Windows 10 desktop, it's OEM option whether to allow end users to turn off secure boot. Windows 10 mobile must not allow secure boot to be turned off on retail devices. UEFI secure boot databases must be configured per Windows 10 hardware requirements. And there's some protocol that needs to be enabled for EFI. Okay, and then this will have TPM requirements as well. The systems will require EK certificates, SHA 256-based PCR banks and bootloader firmware, and some other stuff. I don't even know what half of this stuff is. But go ahead.
I believe I did catch something today. I believe Windows 10 machines will start being available around towards the end of August. So I will reserve judgment until then. But let me say this. I have no problem of me buying a Windows 10 machine, and the lockdown feature or the UFI is standard. I don't have a problem with that it's on, but I would like the option to, shut it off and dual boot if that is my choice, knowing all the risks. I would have no problem with that feature.
And that's exactly what the first thing I would be looking for whenever I hit a Best Buy or any other technology store and I got the salesman standing there and they got a floor model. Hey, show me how to shut off secure boot on this thing. What do you think, Deckard?
Well, if it's up to the manufacturers, that means that they're basically going to see who pays the most money. They're not going to intentionally lock out their users without being compensated for this sort of thing. So if this were to be pushed down the line and make it so that only Windows operating systems can run on the systems, then Microsoft would most likely either have to give them a break at licensing Windows for that machine, or they would have to pay them off in some way. Microsoft's been known to do some pretty shady stuff, but I don't think that the manufacturers are willing to have their call centers be filled with people like us demanding that we get, the ability to choose what system we'd like to run. Now, currently, UEFI is a humongous pain as is. We all understand why UEFI needs to be on there, but why it needs to be so aggressive is beyond me. Personally, I have a machine with UEFI and I just shut it right off. I'm able to launch whatever operating system I like just with what they call the CSM or the legacy booting options. But if we do have manufacturers siding with Microsoft, it'll be across the whole board, and I'm almost going to guarantee that manufacturer will either switch their ways really, really quickly, or they'll, turn into dust and blow away.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, if you look out the window, you can see Microsoft's new fan club.
Are you happy now?
What you got, Deckard?
Alrighty, extreme exam cheats. This is a little bit of nonsense for you. So there was a video recorded in India. So there's this 4-story building. It almost looks like apartment buildings because they're all sectioned off. It's like a checkerboard almost. And you can see these ropes dangling down from the roof of this building, which is a secondary school. And all of these families are scaling the side of this building with papers in their hands with all of the cheats for the exams to pass them in the window to their young ones so that they can pass the exam.
Okay.
If you see what I could see, you would be laughing your arse off, because this is just the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life.
Well, assuming that the kids are even going to be able to see these cheats and that sort of thing, they're dangling the and the school is actually now would really make this nonsense as if the school is actually allowing the parents to do this.
Yeah, so far everyone's being allowed to do it, but they're going 4, 5, 6 stories up a building with just this flimsy little rope trying to pass these notes in the window. Apparently the police are trying to get onto it, but there's such a huge crowd that they just can't control it.
So if you want to give your kids an edge in school, bring a lot of rope with you. What you got, Toss?
Well, why don't we go into my news and nonsense? Let's see.
Is this news or nonsense?
Well, you tell me on the first story. This could be either or. I think it's kind of cool, but apparently there's a company called Aero Car, A-E-R-O, car, it's one word. In 2 years, they will mass produce the first flying car called the Aero Car. It will be a 2-seater car. It drives like a car, like the wings fold, kind of like a jet fighter plane. They fold out. It will be 2-passenger. I believe the range will be about 500 miles, which means from Ohio to Florida, I can drive halfway, but then I have to, land and fill it up and, put in a couple PPAs, and this and that in my Linux, computer. But it'll run probably a couple $100,000, which is what's a souped-up car runs anyway. But it's kind of cool, but it makes me wondering how many people are going to get a combination driver's and pilot license.
Yeah, well, it stands to reason if they were to come up with something like this, they would actually have, traffic lanes. I can't imagine. Well, how does it state how high these vehicles will fly or whatnot?
What did I see? Range 500 miles, 2-seater, top speed of 100 some mile. I don't think they can go too high. The one thing that was cool that this can land and take off on a flat surface or on a grass or on like a grass, which is kind of cool. They're for relatively short stints of like a flying or driving, depending on your point of view. But it looks cool. Just do a quick search, Aero Car.
So you're talking vertical takeoff and everything, huh?
There is a different company making a vertical takeoff vehicle, which looks kind of like a drone. This one, I believe you do need a long stretch or a semi-long stretch of semi-flat land or flat land takeoff like a plane. The other car, which is being made by somebody else, I forget that company, that will be able to take off vertically like a drone and then fly. So,
yeah, I'd hate to have to pay for the insurance and the gas on that.
Oh,
my. I'm not ready for nonsense yet. Steam's got some news here. They're having a 10th anniversary publisher sale, up to 80% off the entire catalog. And they've got a huge selection of games. So kids, if you want to get your game on, now is the time to do it. They have tons and tons and tons of titles, lots of Windows, and they have some Windows, Linux, and Mac games. So if you want to get your game on, this is the time of the year to do it. Steam has yet another sale, obviously to promote, to have a bunch of titles available, for when SteamOS is coming out later this year. So, yeah, good news indeed. And I'll pass the mic over to Deckard.
Yeah, so there's a lot of Linux games coming out recently. Some of the games, my apologies, my brain is somewhere else right now. Somebody interrupted.
Oh, okay. Earth to Deckard.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. What you got?
I got another nonsense here. A British fisherman has accidentally caught a Russian submarine. It's believed to be a nuclear... Yeah, so he accidentally caught a Russian nuclear submarine, which the British had absolutely no knowledge of. There's a whole whack of controversy going over this sort of thing. I can only imagine bad things will be coming from this.
Talk about fishing with dynamite. Jeez.
Yeah, and not only that, but the submarine surfaced, and out pops Sean Connery. I present the Red October.
Yes.
What you got, Toss?
Well, I think I could top that news nonsense article. I'll tell you what, I have 4 quick nonsense titles. You tell me if it's funny or not. Are we ready?
I thought it was stable or horse stable.
Oh, I'm sorry, stable or horse stable?
Yes, come on. We gotta have a consistency across the board here.
Fine. Total OS or total BS? There, you're happy?
Okay, and maybe I ought to cue a special sound effect for stable or horse stable. And I think what we'll do is we'll do this sound for horse stable and this sound for stable.
Cool. All right,
Okay.
here we go. Ready? Now, these are all real. All right, number 1. Suspect drives stolen car to Washington State Patrol office.
Nah.
Okay. Number 2, I got a total of 4. Number 2, Lebanese customs agents seize radioactive maxi pads.
I believe that.
I'm not even going to go to that story.
Go ahead.
Oh, this one is okay. Here we go. I kind of like this one. Fire extinguisher factory burns down in Chicago.
Next.
Oh, come on.
Fire extinguisher factory burns down.
Come on, that was good. That's what I read.
All right,
All
what's
right.
next?
Okay, this is actually kind of cool. But a 100-year-old woman gives advice. She says, according to her, and this is hard to believe, but I guess it's true, 3 Dr. Peppers a day keeps real doctors away.
You know, I love Dr. Pepper, so I'll have to agree with that one. Yeah. Anything else to add to the list there, Toss?
No.
Okay. NSA! NSA!
Wait, I got 10 more. I have 10 more.
Hey, and this one is pretty interesting this week. Cisco takes Let me try that again. Cisco takes steps to avoid NSA tampering. One of the world's leading manufacturers of networking equipment is taking steps to prevent the National Security Agency from tampering with its devices. Cisco has shipped equipment to address that they are not related to its customers in order to prevent intercepts by the agency. The company's chief security and trust officer John Stewart told a conference in Melbourne this week. The practice underscores companies' fears that the NSA will manipulate their products to enable surveillance. Well, all I gotta say to Cisco is good luck with that.
What sizzling story.
I've got a question. Why
Yeah.
do they have to fix something to make it tamper-proof? Why wasn't it tamper-proof to begin with?
Beats me.
So why are they worrying about this now? You know what I mean?
I don't know. Why don't you put on your rant shades and complain about it for a little bit, Deckard?
Well, really, though, there's all these stories coming about the NSA being tampering with this and tampering with that. Well, if you'd actually make a half-decent product that was tamper-proof, they wouldn't be able to tamper with it, and it wouldn't be such a big thing. But all of a sudden, now that somebody's started to do these things, they figure, oh, well, we might as well fix it now, even though they knew about it, months and sometimes years before.
Well, actually, this hasn't been a major concern until Edward Snowden blew the whistle. NSA, none of this stuff was even in the news. You hardly ever heard anything from the NSA, but as soon as Edward Snowden blew the whistle and announced what our government, our trusted elected officials are doing behind our backs, all of a sudden now everybody loves the NSA.
I've often wondered how are our paid elected officials, what kind of work they do in Congress. And I do have one last story. This is true, but this is apparently there is an Iowa legislator. He is gaining internet fame after being photographed on the House floor reading a book called Sex After 60. So that's their job. Oh, silly me.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Well, now you know what they do in Iowa. Yeah,
More nonsense.
exactly. That's all I have.
Okay, well, okay. This one's probably not as good. I have some nonsense here. Strange but true. Architectural firm puts a sun in the shade. Architects claim to have devised a no-shadow skyscraper that may solve the problem of tall buildings blotting out the sun. A London-based firm has produced designs for a pair of precisely aligned towers with curved and angled facades that reflect light down onto the street below. In theory, one tower would reflect sunlight onto the shadow of the other. Skyscrapers often face problems securing planning permission because of their impact on the surrounding cityscape. Now, the thing is, though, if you're living in a big city, you would come to, I think this is kind of nonsensy, but, if you're living in a big city, let's face it, people don't go to the big city for the view. Maybe some people do. I don't know.
There was a nonsense story close to it. If you remember, Spatchy, about a couple of years ago, a person's car, Mercedes, melted after he parked in a new section where the sun was amplified the heat off the skyscraper onto the side of his car, like it melted his car.
Yeah, I was just about to say, with these curved things, would not that amplify the sunbeams and just completely, immediately burn you as soon as you get into the radius?
Well, it depends, if they were to have if these designs were to incorporate lenses that amplify the sun, so when you're sitting across the street at Nancy's coffee shop, and everybody who has the window seats are getting third-degree burns.
Well,
they're getting third-degree burns from 5 minutes of exposure sitting in the coffee shop.
Well, look, this will be an ongoing topic of hot debate.
All right. You guys got anything else, or do I need to pick a name out of the box here?
I'm done.
I got one more, and that's it.
Before Deckard comes out with one, Mom is indisposed, so let me reach into my box here. And the winner of tonight's game is Ben. Ben Linux Fan is the winner, and you are the proud winner of this interesting-looking game. It's got a weird title. It's called Lauren, the Amazon Princess, which is a fantasy epic combining intricate turn-based battles with a heroic tale of overcoming evil. With a twist, in this tale, you play as a loyal servant of the hero rather than the hero herself. This game runs on your Mac or Windows or Linux box. So It's got a Steam key for that. And I appreciate everybody who joins us for these live shows. Deckard, what you got?
Just one real quick thing, another thing to tie in with the NSA shenanigans. Apple's research kit.
NSA. Sorry, I had to sing before. Yeah, if it's NSA news, yeah, go ahead.
Apple's research kit could be goldmine for hackers. So apparently somebody's found a really big loophole in Apple's new health-oriented apps. So to give you a little bit of a background, these apps are being used, they're being targeted for hospitals. So if somebody comes in with asthma, they can get this app tailored to their specific condition. So it would tell you things like pollination and where you're currently at, if it's time to take a puffer, or whatever else you may need to do, as well as training. So, you go to the gym, you can bring this app along with you, or how many steps you've taken, and that all ties into GPS locations. So somebody's hacked into a way to find out all this information, including relative location to where your phone is. So if you put your phone down with one of these health watches and you walk around for a bit, they can roughly pinpoint where you have walked to in relation to the phone, and then tie that into GPS. So it's actually GPS location directly to where you're standing.
The next thing you know, we're going to be having a chip in our hand that's tethered to the phone or something like that, to where, I don't know, but you never know. They may come up with technology like that so that, you can home in on your device or something. Who knows?
Brain implants, man. They're going to put it in my brain.
But the problem is, when they put something in, they have to take something out.
Hey. I'll just say that I want no device on my personal device, if you know what I mean.
Oh, we're talking about the brain. We're not talking about anything else. But, they may have a device for that, too, eventually.
Come on, Toss. Get your head out of the gutter.
I'm done.
All right. That was a wonderful show, don't you think? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, maybe next time. All right. Well, that was yet another fabulous Sunday night news and nonsense. Thank you, Deckard. Thank you, Deckard, and thank you, Toss, for joining me on the panel, and thanks to everybody who's joining us live in the listening room. We'll be back next Saturday night for round 2, or the semifinals of our Open Red Alert tournament. And then we'll also be playing a game of Star Conflict, and we'll be giving out more game prizes and that sort of thing. And then we'll be back again for next Sunday for another fabulous news and nonsense report.
That's debatable, but yeah, go ahead.
All right. Yeah, get a ding for that one. Well, that's all I've got. Peace out, everybody.
Ciao.
See ya.